Hello and a warm welcome to HW News Network, your one stop show, truth be told, for some engaging and thought provoking conversations. Prime Minister Modi was conferred with the Officer of the Order of the Star of Ghana, which is the highest civilian award, and it's the country's national honor, which has been conferred on Prime Minister Modi for distinguished statesmanship and influential global leadership. I'm going to repeat this, that this award has been conferred on Prime Minister Modi for his distinguished statesmanship and influential global leadership. And this is just one award in a series of awards which have been conferred onto him. Now, I was just looking at a list, and in the last 10 years, in fact, Prime Minister Narendra Modi has been conferred with the highest civilian awards by a host of countries. PM Modi, Ghana has already given him the award. But likewise, it's a long list. Saudi Arabia, Afghanistan in 2016, Palestine in 2018, United Arab Emirates in 2019, Russia in 2019, Maldives in 2019, Bahrain in 2019, US in 2020, then likewise Fiji in 2023. Then you have Greece in 2023, France in 2023, Papua New Guinea in 2023, and it's a whole long list of awards which have been conferred on Prime Minister Modi. But I'll begin with the latest national honor which he has received, and that's in Ghana for statesmanship and global leadership. Now, the point is that with a foreign policy failing on all fronts, the big question is that does Prime Minister Modi deserve awards like these? And the second question beyond this is, what is the process for getting the national honors, or what is the process behind getting these highest civilian awards? Because they're coming in dime and dozens. Are the bureaucrats or the diplomats lobbying with various nations for awards like these in lieu of bilateral meetings? So we'll try and discuss this and much more. Joining me this evening is Professor Aftab Kamal Pasha, international affairs expert and diplomat, who joins us. We have Siddharth Sharma, independent media analyst, who joins us this evening. And we also have Sanjay Kapoor, who's the international affairs expert, veteran journalist, and author. Thank you so much for joining. And I'll begin with Professor Pasha, that in the name of the national honors being given to Prime Minister Modi, I want to understand the process from you. That is there a process which is followed when the Prime Minister receives national honors or he receives the highest civilian awards? Is there a lobbying which is done by the bureaucrats? What is the process which is followed? Are the awards given in lieu of the bilateral meetings? And I'm putting a very blunt question to you. Also joining us is Pushparaj Deshpande, who's the author of the Bharat Jodo Yatra, and he works closely with the India Alliance. Thank you so much, Pushparaj, and I'll go back to Professor Pasha. Yes, sir.
Yes, in your intro, you mentioned two main qualities for the award which was given to Prime Minister Narendra Modi yesterday in Accra, Ghana's capital, West African country. One is distinguished global leadership, and the other one is statesmanship. So let us review. Ghana is an important country for India. We import bulk of our gold from Ghana. And, Ghana has been an old partner with India in the non-aligned movement. The famous Ghanaian leader, Nkrumah, was a close friend of many Indian prime ministers. We have worked together, since independence in 1957. When we supported the Ghanaian decolonization process. But in Accra, we had established already a mission about 4 or 5 years before Ghana's independence. So India's support to the decolonial movement has been widespread, and India is a household name in Ghana. Many students have studied, and Indian films and cultural relations. There's a small community of Indians also there. and Indian businessmen also do substantial business there. And but it also has a troubled neighborhood. Burkina Faso is there, Ivory Coast is there, and much of West Africa from Liberia to Niger and so on and so forth. Guinea-Bissau, Guinea itself, which has been afflicted with a lot of internal problems, border problems, so on and so forth. I don't see any reason that we have shown interest in resolving some of Ghana's neighborhood problems. Uh, it appears it is a bilateral, probably recognition of the Prime Minister's role as a statesman and his leadership role.
But when you say
Although,
bilateral recognition, Professor Pasha, when you say bilateral recognition, what does it actually mean? How does a common man understand? And I'm asking you a very blunt question again, and which I'm repeating, that are these awards being lobbied by the diplomats in lieu of the bilateral meeting? Since you also said it's a bilateral recognition, so let's understand how these high civilian awards are being taken or being lobbied.
see, when the Prime Minister or high dignitary from India visits any foreign country, a lot of groundwork is prepared much before the actual visit. So the embassy is deeply involved, and the MEA is also deeply involved in coordinating what agreements to be signed. In this case, award also. So all the nitty gritty is discussed well in advance, and the preparatory meeting is initiated much earlier. So somebody in the MEA takes the initiative to contact our embassy officials, highest officials there, whether it is High Commission or ambassador, to get the feeling that is it possible to get the award for our Prime Minister for all the qualities you mentioned. So, after discussing with the political leadership or whoever rules, they decide. But sometimes it is a give and take also. They will also ask if we give to your prime minister when our leader visits your country, is it going to be given? Or, it could be the role of the NRIs also, or the prime minister's friends, whether it is Adani, Ambani, who have substantial trade interests, or as I said, NRIs who have a huge stake in business between India, because pharma products are exported in a big way. So private pharma companies also may have played a role in enticing the leadership there to give the award. You see, it's not necessary on the surface global leadership and statesmanship. This is just a cover for many other deals, probably which are in the making or they have been agreed to. So diplomats are, involved in one way or the other. But what is interesting is it is becoming too often. Last 2 weeks ago, the Prime Minister visited Cyprus and he was given an award there. And when he was in the GCC countries, from Bahrain to Kuwait to Saudi Arabia to UAE, there's a long list who wants to outshine the other in giving the awards. But if you look at the global, the press in the GCC, they ridicule this that the prime minister comes to an Islamic country, but he treats differently the minorities there in India. So this kind of talk also goes on in the press. Editorials are written against India and our policies of polarization, anti-Muslim policies. In some newspapers, there was also a call for boycott of Hindu workers in Kuwait some time back, and also boycott of the RSS, that no leadership should be allowed to enter Kuwait because of the government's policies. So these kind of things are also there, but you should keep in mind the difference between the people and the rulers. Many of these rulers who have given awards, they are rulers unto themselves, because many of the Gulf leaders, they think they own the country. They think that there's no need for the rulers to share power with the people in the sense real constitution, division of powers, etc.
So, Pasha, what you said that many times, like in Prime Minister Modi's case, these awards are coming too often. Wherever he goes, he's given either the national honor or he's given the country's highest national award. But the point is that, as you said in your submission, that it's a many times it's a give and take. So this give and take is done only through lobbying, that the bureaucrats
Yes,
lobby and say that okay, our prime minister should get this in return for something. Is this the reality of diplomacy, and is this what is happening in the name of foreign policy, a glorification campaign for Prime Minister Modi in the name of foreign policy? Let's talk about it today because it's happening too often. Yes, Professor Pasha.
yes, it is an unwritten understanding. There is no doubt about it. A lot of dealing and wheeling goes behind this. If it were rare, say once in 5 years, or recognition, like in the case of 50s and 60s, Jawaharlal Nehru, mediated in many of the international problems from Congo to nuclear disarmament to Korea, Suez Crisis, and all. There was no such craze. He was himself the foreign minister. In fact, whatever he has written or in the letters he wrote to the chief ministers on foreign policy or discussion, he dissuaded the embassy from having this kind of award ceremonies. He said, it is unbecoming. It is my duty as a non-aligned leader, as a country's leader, to promote peace and security and stability in the world. So he was not hankering after awards, even though tirelessly he worked. I mean, for more than a year, he was involved in the Suez Canal crisis, or in Congo, or in universal declaration of nuclear ban on nuclear weapons, or in Korea. So now our prime minister is not to be seen in the Ukraine conflict, or in the Gaza conflict, Palestine conflict, yeah, or even in Iran Israel conflict. We barely said anything. Our prime minister has not uttered a single word condemning Israeli atrocities in Gaza, or the unprovoked attack on Iran, for example. It is violation of international law, it is violation of UN Charter and all the international norms, but we have not condemned Israel or America in this situation. I'll give you one example. You see, for the last 6 months, the entire world, especially global south, is suffering from Donald Trump's trade war. He is threatening or has imposed tariff on all the countries, claiming that they are taking undue advantage of America, and exporting and importing unduly. And it is a matter, it has affected us also. We have been at the forefront negotiating to reduce tariffs. No, we could have mobilized, like the Prime Minister invited in G20, so many countries for the first time. We could have organized a conference in Delhi to listen to the concerns of the global south, how they are affected from this tariff war, unjust war, which Donald Trump is threatening. And in the presence of Prime Minister Modi, he said the BRICS is dead, and there is enormous pressure on us to disassociate or weaken our links with the BRICS countries. Although the Prime Minister is going for a BRICS meeting in Brazil, but there's no doubt that we have not shown global leadership like what we showed in 50s and
Okay.
60s. Although we are a
Okay. So
nuclear power, we are an economic power, we have all the things to show global leadership, but nowhere this global leadership or statesmanship. We are behaving like a small country under the influence of the Americans, accepting ceasefire from Donald Trump without
right.
uttering anything
All
against
right.
it.
So I'll just take a cue from what you said towards the end, that we are not behaving like a global leader. Whatever dealings are being done at the behest of the prime minister, they don't look statesmanship like. Sanjay, I'll come to you now. That these awards going too often to Prime Minister Modi. I was asking Professor Pasha also a short while back that can we remember any other leader in the world or within our country who has got so many awards across the nations? I don't think we can remember any leader. But Prime Minister Modi getting these kind of awards too often, uh, does it look like some kind of a campaign which is being carried on by the diplomats, by the bureaucracy, which is lobbying hard for these kind of awards, only for the sole objective of amplifying Prime Minister Modi's biodata or the resume?
It is actually very puzzling as to how Mr. Modi managed to get. He's got about 28, and in
Yes.
comparison, Nehru got two, Indira Gandhi got two, Rajiv Gandhi none, and the others don't really count. But how did he get 28, and from what kind of countries he got these awards? That is also need to be found out. Whether they have some quid pro quo built into it, whether they have something else going on. We don't have evidence to show whether the bureaucrats are lobbying or not. But in terms of comparison, we can show that others didn't very lobby very hard, even though they had a lot of work to show. But the gentleman who's the incumbent now is likes to get legitimacy by getting these awards. I remember some years ago there was a lot of hue and cry over the manner in which he got an award from South Korea, and that South Korean award hadn't been heard of even before that. And subsequently, I think it was given to one or two people later on, but he was the first recipient of this award. And he's also managed to get some award which is undeserving of a prime minister, like a Changemaker award from Gates Foundation. I mean, you don't do that. It's meant for civil society activists, not for a prime minister of a country to get it. But that's our prime minister. And as I said, it's more to get some kind of legitimacy. He goes to Ghana, gets an award, goes to Cyprus. What has he done in Cyprus? Cyprus, he was there to badmouth Turkey. What did he do in Ghana? Beats me. Must be some NRIs who must have lobbied very hard for him to get it, because NRIs and non-resident Indians everywhere are playing a very major role. They are the ones who are cutting deals. They are the ones who are trying to get something or the other, and they manage to control many of these small countries. You don't believe me, but I'm telling you something which is really scandalous, that many of these smaller countries, their prime ministers and others are totally under the sway of many non-resident Indians. Their trade and their businesses are the ones that are being entirely controlled by them. So, in those circumstances, if our prime minister gets something out of them, you have to be surprised why others are not playing the same game. But surprisingly, they don't, because I don't think they have. They're probably more democratically accountable than the gentleman we have here, and that's a real tragedy.
All right, so you've already given a comparison as to how many awards Indira Gandhi got, or Nehru got, or Rajiv Gandhi didn't get an award at all. I'll come to Pushpraj now. Pushpraj, are these awards which are given? I'm not saying that Prime Minister Modi doesn't deserve it or anything, but the process by which these awards are falling in so frequently, doesn't it raise suspicion as to how it's being done, whether at all he's deserving or not? Shouldn't we even be talking about it? Because I mean, I was looking at the websites, and every website has put it across. Oh, Prime Minister Modi has been conferred with the Ghana National Award. Now, but the point is, we've taken a completely different line, that why these awards are so often given to Prime Minister Modi. Is there a give and take? Is the bureaucracy or the diplomats, are they lobbying it hard for it? I was talking to Dr. Pasha a short while back on the phone when we spoke, and it's a given that there is a certain process which the diplomats have to follow. Probably they would tell them through a letter, or through some kind of a missive, that there has to be an award for our prime minister, and in lieu of that there could be a bilateral meeting. So if this is the reality, then what is really happening in the name of foreign policy, in the name of these foreign visits? What is Prime Minister Modi doing?
Niluji, very good evening to you, our panelists, and our viewers. See, I don't want to comment on how the process is playing out here, whether it's rigged, whether it's bought. I mean, we know many of these things happen, but that's not something. I mean, one doesn't talk about these kind of things in at least when we're talking about the leader of our nation. I mean, I'm very glad, especially for someone whose locus of being is external to them. I can imagine that this kind of external validation matters a lot. So I'm very happy for him personally that he's able to at least satisfy his personal angst of getting validation from people beyond India. And for someone who was blacklisted for the better part of 2002 to 2014, from visiting many countries because of his role in 2002, I can imagine this kind of validation would mean something, would mean a lot. So I'm happy for him. I don't want to comment on the process. That's one thing. The second thing, Niluji, is that as since we are citizens, and I want to now look at it from a national perspective, I would like to ask whether recognition of a prime minister really is recognition of India's role. You know, we're not France in the 1700s, or the 1600s. Prime Minister Modi and the BJP ecosystem today have made this conflation of the prime minister's recognition as the national as India's recognition. That's not true at all. I mean, he's not Louis the 14 who can say
No,
"L'état
but
c'est
when
moi."
he's getting the awards, Pushparaj, today also he said that on behalf of the 140 crore Indians, I take this. Pardon?
So,
Sanjay, you
so
said
see,
something? Yeah,
1.4 billion, I said. Yeah, no problem.
yeah, yeah.
no, see, Niluji, we are not a monarchy. It's not "L'état c'est moi," the state it is I. He cannot claim to represent 145 crore Indians. He is our elected prime minister, but let's be very categorical about the fact that he is elected. There is a whole country here that works on a very different footing. We need to look at the actual objective facts. I'm not going to go into figures today because that is something that I know for a fact will be twisted and turned. But let us and your viewers ask themselves this: has this award or these 28 awards that have translated, whether it's the Philip Kotler Award, which I've still not heard of after the first time it was given to him,
This is
or
the one I
whether
was
it is,
referring to.
yeah, Philip Kotler Award, multiple other awards, has that really translated into enhanced FIIs into India? Has that translated into increased trade for India? Has that translated into increased geopolitical position for India? Has that translated into a better role for India in the UN system, in the World Bank, in the ADB, in any of the multilateral institutions that we can think of? So let us be categorical about this. Let us keep fact versus fiction. Prime Minister Modi is getting awards because whether he's rigging it, whether they're paying for it, whether the NRIs are doing some kind of lobbying for him, or whether there's actually something they really like his PR or whatever it is. They really like the clothes that he wears. He wears 4 clothes every day, whatever it is. So the point is, maybe there is something that he's got a personal award for. Does that benefit my nation? Does that benefit or make any objective change in anyone's life here? Whether it has it benefited Professor
Pen ಇದೆಯಾ
Pasha
blue
or
color?
Neelu Vyas, or whether has it benefit Siddharth or Sanjay or any of those 145 crore Indians. That is the second point. The third point is he has got an award for playing a role in global affairs. Let us actually dissect this, and I'll say this. This is the last thing I'll say. Let us dissect this particular point that he's got an award for playing a role in global affairs. As Professor Pasha and Sanjay sir said, has he played a role in the in the Iran-Israel conflict? Here, nothing. He didn't do anything. Did he play a role in the Palestine-Israel war when the genocide was happening? He did not. In fact, he forced India to abstain multiple times in the UN. Did he play a role in the Ukraine-Russia war? He did not. Because of him, is somehow Nepal, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Maldives, are they somehow closer to us? They're not. They really are not. So our neighborhood is alienated from us. The three big countries, China, Russia, US, are sort of isolating us. They're different. They're distant from us. In fact, Canada, Germany, UK have thrown out our raw agents and units. For the first time since 1973. This has happened because of the fact that he has been pursuing this Rambo style politics, where I will, send someone Ghuske Thoka and all that stuff, that kind of politics, attacking those citizens. The only tangible gain that Prime Minister Modi has made is that he has established the BJP and a very small section of the diaspora, I must confess, a very small section of the diaspora in a cartography, in a global right wing cartography. That's it. The only thing he has done is weaponize the Indian diaspora to work with far right parties and populist autocrats. That's it. That's it. There is no contribution on a geopolitical or foreign policy basis that he has made today. So for him to claim that I'm Vishwa Guru and then seek validation through these meaningless awards does not in any sense mean that India is somehow in a better position. In fact, as Professor Pasha said, in 1950 till 1960, India was economically crippled. 1 in 3 Indians was suffering crippling poverty. Almost between 44 and 64 trillion dollars was looted from India. Despite that, India, thanks to Prime Minister Nehru, played a critical role in adjudicating the Korea War, in playing a war in the Korea, this thing, in the Vietnam War, in the anti-colonial struggles, in the anti-apartheid struggles, in the Palestine struggle. I mean, the world with bated breath at what is Nehru going to say. The non-aligned movement created 56 nations at a time when India was nothing. 56 nations marshaled and said that we will be this middle part in the world in global affairs. Today, who's with us? We are completely alienated in the global south. And I'll say this one last thing. Right now, Dr. Jaishankar went to the Quad meeting. Of course, your viewers know the Quad, but did Australia, US, or any other country mention Pakistan? When our all party delegations left at a personal request for Prime Minister Modi, did a single head of state meet our delegations? Did any of them stand up with us against Pakistan? Recently, the UN, Pakistan has, okay, fine, it's a rotating basis, but Pakistan has been elected to the UN as the head security in the Security Council. They have got almost a $44 billion loan from the World Bank, from the IMF. India could do nothing there. India has not been able to get any support. In fact, every country is asking us that what is the proof that Pakistan attacked you? Compare this with 2026-11 when Dr. Manmohan Singh was there. Look at the kind of global support that came after us. Pakistan was diplomatically and politically isolated because of the efforts that Dr. Manmohan Singh and his government and his foreign policy sort of pursued. What Prime Minister Modi has done is by leading this personalized diplomacy, he has circumscribed our Indian Foreign Service, our intelligence services. He has made them conscientious bystanders and reduced them into some kind of ideological islands that you are here to do my bidding. When people come, they are hiring people. They're hiring people. If you go abroad, all these your viewers need to understand is when we go abroad, people are talking. Foreign parties are talking about how ridiculous it is that the Indian embassy is paying Indian diaspora citizens to come and cheer for Prime Minister Modi because no one cares about him. No, I mean this is ridiculous. Do you realize the kind of this is basically like bhade ki janta jo rally mein you get na? This is what he's doing abroad. Is this the kind of foreign policy that we are talking about? Is this the kind of geopolitics and global presence that merits awards? Today, President Jaishankar is saying that he's going to slap a 500% tariff bill on us.
Yes.
What is Prime Minister Modi doing? What does this award really merit for us, for our
Absolutely.
nation?
And which is why we are questioning. We are not saying that our Prime Minister Narendra Modi should not be getting the award, but these awards.
Let him get award. Listen, Neeluji, let him get award. Let him fill up his wall in Gujarat with all the awards that he gets. My point is, what is India gaining?
Absolutely.
Economically, politically, geopolitically, what are we gaining?
Yes, that's an important question, that we are not gaining anything as a nation. Our global stature is not rising. Our foreign policy is failing on all the fronts. So these awards become trivial. Now, towards the end, Siddharth, I'll come to you. What does one make of these awards, which are given to Prime Minister Narendra Modi so frequently? And has a process, I mean, forget the process, but this entire look, and what Pushpraj just pointed out, you pay for the cheerleaders also who are standing, the bands who drum up all the support for Prime Minister Modi whenever he goes. It's like a pre-orchestrated event. Everybody knows that. And we've seen it like quite often. And on TV channels also, it has got exposed. So what do these awards really mean when Prime Minister, when the mainstream media says that Prime Minister Modi has been conferred with the highest civilian award of Ghana, and likewise from other nations as well? What does it really mean?
Yeah, Neeluji, when you informed me about this subject, since it is very unique and very interesting, I sought help from a little bit from artificial intelligence because it is the number of awards that Modi ji has won. We should be right about it. So I asked artificial intelligence, give me 5 top names of living as well as non-living people who have got the most number of highest civilian awards conferred by other nations. Obviously does not mean the Philip Kohler Award or the Microsoft or some other award that Sanjay sir was saying. So let me congratulate the entire Indian population that as of today, as of a living person, Modi ji stands number one. He has 15 international civilian awards as of today. Number two is Angela Merkel of Germany, who has 10. But he is a long way away from holding a Guinness World Record, because Queen Elizabeth had 25 and Mr. Nelson Mandela had 30. So Modi ji, if he is in a race to have a Guinness World Record of having the highest number of civilian awards from other countries, so he is
24.
halfway.
In the last 10 years, this list which has been put out by the Indian Express, I will put it out maybe later. Indian Express has said for the last 10 years, Modi has got 24 awards. And these are, by the way, big awards which the country
Yeah.
confers.
Yeah, I specifically asked artificial intelligence only the international highest civilian awards given by other governments. Obviously, it does not mean other awards. Obviously, it would not mean Nobel awards. So anyway, so Modi ji is in that race. As of now, he's number one, the living person. And as far as the Guinness Book of World Records is concerned, he is halfway through to in that race with Mr. Nelson Mandela, who has 30. So this begs the question. We all know there's a lot of similarities between the personalities of our Pradhanji and Mr. Trump. Both are cavalier, both are grandiose, both are very ambitious. Now psychologists say Mr. Trump, even rock stars like Madonna and what do you say, Elvis Presley, suffered from something called as validation syndrome. Now, very interestingly, what is validation syndrome? I think one of our other Pushparaj was speaking about validation. So what happened is 1200 years ago, Adi Shankaracharya of India said that all living beings have Sat, Chit, Anand, Mumuksha and Ishna in them. Now, out of all these three, Mumuksha is want of recognition. That is aspiration to influence others. We also know that on an average, for any individual, it takes nearly 30 years of intense dedication to achieve something in life. If I have to achieve something in life, I have to put in nearly 30 years of effort. So since independence, two generations in India toiled in their respective fields, be it farming, be it a job, be it a business, anything. They toiled for two generations. But did average Indian get recognized on the global scale? No. Out of 450 Nobel Prizes given since 1947, only one Indian working in India got that Nobel. That is Kailash Satyarthi. All other people were Indians but worked outside India. Now, out of 4,000 Olympic gold medals since 1947, only two Indians got it. Now, so by the start of this century, that is the 21st century, when social media gave everyone global exposure, average Indian, although toiling honestly, realized that on the world stage, he was not recognized. Now enter BJP in 2014 with the simple slogan, "We are Vishwaguru." This suddenly gave a feel-good exhilarations to millions of hardworking Indians that they're finally somehow, somewhere recognized in the world. That's one of the reasons for BJP's success in polls before 2024, despite its governance deficit, be it demonetization, bad farm laws, inflation, rising crimes against women, Dalit, everything gets excused because that validation is already there. Vishwaguru ban gaye hain. Now suddenly, after Trump grabbed all the credit for Operation Sindoor ceasefire, that entire Vishwaguru edifice came crashing down. Hence, Pradhanji's excursions to difficult to find on map countries like South Cyprus and Ghana to bag a country's civilian honor, to validate to himself and his ecosystem that, see, since I am the person holding the most number of international awards, I'm still the Vishwaguru. This is nothing but a pathetic, weak psychology to seek third party validation of my existence. This is simply a zero sum game.
So you are saying this is a zero-sum game. I'll come to Professor Pasha and Pushpraj and to you for the final comments. So does it look like, Professor Pasha, and very briefly, brief answers, because I'll have to end the program, that does it look like the fact that Prime Minister Modi is not concerned with what his image in the world is or how he is projected, but for him, the awards matter more than what is really happening to the country because of these awards?
Yeah, obviously, because he has convinced himself that he is having all the qualities of a global statesman and influential global leader, etc., etc. Because like Jawaharlal Nehru, who had read extensively about foreign countries, foreign relations, and even before India's independence, he was in charge of the Indian National Congress Foreign Relations Department. He met each and every leader. He toured each and every country, understood, and he had personal relations with global leaders. even with the United States, with whom we disagreed during the Cold War. But has the Prime Minister written anything close to what Jawaharlal Nehru wrote in his books or in his speeches, or the several letters which Jawaharlal Nehru wrote to the Chief Minister on any
Yes.
global issue? Nehru would write to the Chief Minister on Suez Crisis, for example. I have myself studied several letters he wrote, or in the parliament, he gave such outstanding speeches in the 50s, 60s on foreign policy. It is still relevant to us, whether it is academicians, historians, or researchers, or even to policymakers. For example, he spoke on the Sapro House Indian Council of World Affairs conference, their Asian Relations Conference. That the future will belong to Asia, because Asia has the oldest civilizations, cultures, and there is similarity in many, many ways. And this will be the engine of growth for the entire world, no matter what the colonial powers did. It's such a visionary statement, which is coming true. Now, China, India, South Korea, Taiwan, Vietnam, Iran, Turkey, all of these which were suppressed and colonial powers, except Turkey, they have become engines of growth, and they are contributing to the world GDP. Where is our Prime Minister? I have not heard anything Prime Minister uttering in Parliament on foreign policy, or what he has done in Ukraine or Gaza.
All right.
He has not even uttered a single word condemning the genocide, which his friend is doing. China mediated between Iran and Saudi Arabia, and he went to receive all these awards from GCC countries, and they promised billions of dollars. How many billions has he able to get to Indians for investment? So this looks like a very superficial kind of pushing for awards and embassies being utilized for personal glorification. And he wants to use all these things to impress the supporters. Yes, that look, he is a Vishwaguru and he is recognized all over the world. And all the critics which are undermining him, they are anti-nationals, and they are doing sedition, and the whole world is applauding me and my leadership.
Right. What you said, some two, three very important points, and how embassies are being used for the glorification of the Prime Minister. I will pick on that point. Sanjay, to you, very brief comment, and then I'll come to Pushparaj. Yes, Sanjay.
Yeah, yeah. So my contention is that it is wrong to compare him with Nehru. It really diminishes Mr. Nehru. Mr. Modi has cracked a formula. That means there are 4 or 5 things he will do. He will be received by a bunch of NRIs who will say Modi, Modi, Modi. Then he'll have somebody give him an award. That allows him to say a few things, because everything is all worked out. He doesn't mediate, he doesn't do anything, he doesn't question the power structure in the country, he doesn't even question the dominance that the West exercises. So in a certain way his presence is very limiting. The only way he can make an impact is by using the embassies abroad for the purpose of promoting himself and the organization that he represents. So that is a tragedy we have to live with.
Right. So, Pushparaj, concluding comments from you on these awards which Prime Minister Modi is getting too often. We call ourselves Vishuguru. Rather, Prime Minister says that India is a Vishuguru, but when it comes to foreign policy, we look like a total failure. But when it comes to awards, it's raining awards on Prime Minister Modi. So, is there a dichotomy which needs to be explained and which needs to be talked about now? Because I have not seen anywhere, and neither can I expect the mainstream media to talk about it. But it suddenly struck me that today, when I saw that he's got a national award from Ghana, and which these awards are becoming too frequent, so I thought that maybe let's discuss this entire process today. Yes, Pushpa.
Niluji, what I'm going to say now is something that I'm sure both Sanjay sir and Professor Pasha would agree with. Foreign policy is not about the next 5 years. It is about the next 50 years. It's about the next 100 years. Which is why foreign policy, the way it is conducted, should not be a personalized thing. Relationships are not between leaders, they're between nations. And it's about ultimately maximizing a nation's strategic self interest, right? That is what foreign policy is about. How do we get the most out of our for our nation without compromising another nation's economic, social interests, while maximizing our economic, political, geopolitical interests. That's what foreign policy is about. You need to view Prime Minister Modi's record in this framework, this limited framework. Has he been able to, in the last 11 years, maximize India's geopolitical stature? Has he been able to maximize India's economic stature? And are we, as we claim to be, are we actually reclaiming our manifest destiny and becoming Vishwaguru? Right? Not him as an individual, as a this thing, as a nation. Professor Pasha and Sanjay sir are right. India has, and what as Prime Minister Nehru famously said, India has been the cradle of multiple civilizations. Right? We are uniquely placed. We are uniquely placed, unlike China, which is 95% Han and homogeneous in that sense. Unlike Turkey, unlike multiple other nations or civilization states, we are uniquely placed because we have always embraced diversity. That is our strength. We assimilate. We become stronger than the sum of our individual parts because we assimilate. And it is because of that diversity, it is because of that accommodative spirit that we are uniquely placed in adjudicating and showing the world a middle path, like Prime Minister Nehru did. We could have played a crucial role between Israel and Iran. We could have played a crucial role between Russia and Ukraine. We could have played a crucial role between Iran and Israel. We could have played a role in Syria. I know for a fact that we could have played a role in Nepal and China also. We chose not to do that because Prime Minister Modi eschewed our strategic self-interest, eschewed our national interest in pursuit of his individual and party stature. This is the tragedy that we are dealing with for the last 11 years. What Prime Minister Modi has done is sacrifice India's strategic interest for his own interest, for his own promotion. Instead of talking to Iran about the Chabar port and a gateway to the Central Asia through Afghanistan, instead of talking to Afghanistan about rare earths, instead of talking to Palestine about a moral third post, instead of talking to South Africa about how we can play a better role to minimize China's interest but maximizing our shared interest. Instead of doing all that, what is Prime Minister Modi doing? Give me an award. Get my diaspora to dance in front of me. Like he's using foreign policy as a theater for domestic politics. Foreign policy cannot be about domestic politics. It is about India's role and India's position and India's interest for the next 50, 100,000 years. You have to keep thinking ahead. You can't be using that you can't be using that as a tool to service your national insecurities and politics. Just because you want to alienate Rahul Gandhi, you will go abroad and speak some random thing you will say somewhere. And then right now, I just saw her speech in Ghana. He's saying that we have to prepare for a post World War II situation is changing. We need to start preparing for it. What? Do you really think that we need to start preparing today? We should have been preparing for this for the last 10 years. I mean, the whole world is going through an epistemic polycrisis, multiple polycrises. The global currency is being underway. Instead of thinking about whether we want to be part of BRICS, instead of thinking about when President Trump, understand this, President Trump has launched a state-backed digital currency. A state-backed digital currency. This will revolutionize currencies as we know it. Hong Kong has started the same thing. EU is considering it. At this time, Prime Minister Modi and the Finance Minister are floating bubbles about demonetizing 500 rupee notes. You're hopelessly outdated because you're not thinking. You're not thinking about the nation. You're not thinking about the next, how do we circumvent other nations, outmaneuver other nations and maximize your self-interest. You're thinking about मुझे award कैसे मिलेगा. You're thinking about मेरे सामने 10 diaspora लोग नाचेंगे कैसे. Who's going to fund their travel tickets and stay for the next 5 days? This is limited foreign. I'm sorry, what is this? This is not foreign policy. This is really not foreign policy. And Prime Minister Modi, I'm telling you, has set us back by at least 20 years.
I leave it to the viewers. Right. I leave it to the viewers. Sanjay, I think, wants to say something. Sanjay?
Yeah. I just want to say one word, just add on to what Pushpara is saying, that the domestic politics of Mr. Modi is limiting our foreign policy. It is exclusionary, it is driving people out, and it's reflecting with our alienation with our neighbors. This is a fact which should be hammered time and again.
And how many millionaires are leaving? Neelu ji, today in the morning you must have seen some thousands of millionaires are leaving and taking out some billions of dollars.
Yes. So, which is why there was a compelling reason for me to discuss this. For the last almost 44 minutes, we've been doing this discussion, and we've discussed it threadbare. And I'm sure you will not find this discussion anywhere on the mainstream media on a day when Prime Minister Modi is conferred the national honor of Ghana. We bring you a different aspect because we feel that these awards have got trivialized in the face of failure of our foreign policy, and because the people in our country are not gaining anything by awards like these. So today it was Ghana. Now we'll have to wait and watch when Prime Minister Modi gets his next award and which country gives it. And when you see that next award, just think about it, whether it was a give and take, whether it was hard lobbying by the diplomats, whether it was an unwritten pact, all those points will hit you hard just because our nation is not benefiting anything by these awards. I'll have to end it here. Thank you so much, Professor Pasha. Sanjay, Pushpa, thank you very much for joining. Thank you.